most of them. I have made a video, slowly but surely, but I thought I'd just make a little live as I smoke a Zoot. And yeah, otherwise I just wouldn't have bothered. And it just gives people a chance to tune in if they're about. If not, then not. But otherwise, if you are about, then tune in, because here I am. Been a bit of a mission to pick up weed in recent times, and yeah, I just kept getting scammed, and then fucking this kid tried to rob me and just, oh mate, it was just long. Yes mate, sorry that I've longed it. But then, fucking went to see my mate in Bristol, and fucking he sorted me out a nice fucking queue, mate, like literally, for 40 quid as well. I mean, I didn't pay for it, he paid for it as like a little treat, but yeah. Have you messaged me yours? Because then if you do, I can just prank it. So that's what I'm smoking. Alright, wicked. Sorry, I've been a bit lazy on the old social. So I'm pleased to be smoking. Nice, nice. Yeah, sorry for longing it, mate. Sorry for longing it. Yo, just smoking a Zoot. Just smoking a Zoot. I'm probably gonna smoke another, to be fair, but I'll pace myself. I'll just pace myself. Mm. I've been really pleased with the choices I've made in life and decisions, especially when it comes to not staying in the same place too long. But yeah, I haven't had Skittles in a while. In fact, a very long time. What's the reason? Even like, Gorilla Glue. Oh, actually, that's a lie. I had Gorilla Glue maybe like, well, it's still like a long time ago, like 5 months ago. Gorilla Glue, I just randomly picked up That's a good thing and a bad thing, but you just randomly pick up and then the dealer has really good weed, but then you're not gonna be going back to him. It was just in a rush, like the last minute thing, and I was like, oh, I'll just get some weed. Didn't think it was gonna be great, and it turned out to be banging. But yeah, other than that, it's bare stars. Mate, so nice to have weed. Like a reasonable amount, you know. Just like no stress, just like you can comfortably smoke. And I smoke, I wouldn't say I smoke less, but I smoke on an even level rather than just chain smoking all at one go. Because you know you could just smoke like 3, 4 zoots and still have zoots for later, and the next day and the next day. And it's fine. Rather than just smoking like lots of small zoots throughout the day. But then obviously by the next day you've got no weed again. At least it's not raining. So annoying when you're trying to smoke a zoot. Just like the water little droplets just dropping on the zoot. I feel very calm in my mind, like literally. I've mentally just cooled my ruse a little bit, like literally. Just cooled my ruse. Because basically, what it was, it's just that, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm alright, I'm fine. That's what I'm just saying. I'm just saying I'm fine because basically, there's so many things that was running through my mind I had to do yet. And then obviously there was a situation that popped up with police involvement, right? And then a boss case. And just it was NFA, which was it was good. It is good, like, but then obviously it just puts things into perspective a little bit. And then obviously had a little mini mission to Bristol. I had my mission to fucking Scotland and fucking mate, like it was just like okay, yeah, it was just it was tricky and there was ups and downs, but it's just a natural thing, yeah. But just like the point is just experiencing the elements for a bit and just having that little bit of fuckery. I don't know, it just aligns my brain a little bit. Yeah, that word didn't even go to fucking CPS, mate. Like, literally, didn't even go to CPS. And I was a bit like sketchy because I thought I was just gonna get fucked for no reason. And I was just moving more weird and just like moving more weird. And I thought they was just like trying to fucking snake me. Literally, I thought, yo, Bill just trying to snake me off of the back of this other situation. Like just trying to get other things in as well, but they didn't, so it's fine. Yeah, like literally, it's just it was weird. Like it was weird. Like I was 100% sure that was just like, do you know what I mean? And there was just being really weird and overly nice and like I don't know, they just chat bare shit and then you just like oh fucked it. And all it is always like oh just been like no comment blah blah blah, which sometimes yeah, but sometimes I just speak and just say the situation. And obviously you don't grass yourself up, but it's better to just be open because I'm just an open person. But then that works against me, which is why people just say to me, "Why do you not just say no comment?" But yeah, it was fine, and that was that. But yeah, just one of them ones, mate. But obviously, it was actually a thing, so I have to just. It's not a thing no more. But that's the thing in it. Like, they just fuck with you all of that, and then it's just like, oh yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You was right. It's like, I know I was fucking right. Anyway, it's all good, mate. Life's all good. It's very irritating though, looking up to the sky and seeing planes and not being on it. Every time I see a plane, it's like, oh, there's another one. It's good to break the cycle a little bit, mate. Right, another spliff it is. It's getting to that time when you have to start having fires in the evening. It's not like super cold, but it's getting there. Slowly, slowly. No, yeah. But at least it's not raining, actually. Weed, 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 and more weed, mate. Although I don't want to get too carried away. I'm gonna have a little observational session. What do I mean by observational session? Well, I just said observation session because it sounded less negative. But moan, really, moan. I've become very bored of the what do they call it, like hospitality, but like what would you call that in terms of restaurants and bars, pubs, venues, that sort of thing. Anyway, that sort of going out lifestyle. Basically, I used to only work venues because I didn't see the point in socialising in a venue. I just didn't see the point. So I was making money to be at a venue. So therefore it was just easier for me to just tolerate venues. But otherwise I'd never go in. I'd always make sure I was positioned on the front door or just somewhere out of the way. So I didn't have to see any people. And then moving to the Netherlands, especially working in a party hostel, you get that sort of social vibe, but from a personal point of view, not a working point of view. So actually being the one that's socialising and smoking and chatting to everyone. And it was great, literally, because it was the first time that I'd ever done it. That smells so good. But yeah, it was the first time that I'd ever done it. And yeah, I'd done like guest speaking and talks and been to drama school as well, so it's not a case that I can't talk to an audience or a crowd, but just in that social, personal point of view, yeah, it just wasn't happening. See, anyway, it happened in the Netherlands consistently every single day, like all the time. Like, yeah, there were low points, but I was out and about and I was just approaching people and chatting. And then coming back to England and trying to do that exact same thing, it just wasn't the same. Like, it just wasn't the same. And basically, for the first sort of, I don't know, 4 months of being back in England, it was fine. Like, yeah, sure. I was chatting to everyone, and do you know what I mean? It was like a new country again, so to speak. But slowly, because when you're abroad, you've got that novelty of not being from the place that you're visiting. And even if you're staying there for a long period of time, you've then got the novelty of being English. But when you come back to England, well, everyone's English. So it's not a novelty for you to be like English. Or people to be like, oh, you're from England, so therefore they're like really excited, which is normal. But over time, you could, initially I could easily just talk and still have that novelty of being English, because obviously you had all the raw travel stories. And I'd only just come back from travelling, so what the fuck was that? I'd only just come back from, sorry, I'd only just come back from travelling. But after a while, those stories, like, they don't wear thin for me. Like, but you do forget, and obviously you do come back in England, so you create new memories, and obviously new things happen and new situations. Like, you've now got to figure out new ways to get around, like learn new bus routes, new transport systems, get used to being in pounds again instead of euros. Like you just readjust basically, which again is natural and normal. But yeah, the high just wasn't there, so I was just like, hmm. And then moved to Bristol. Permanently, but then done it to death. And obviously it's a good place to go out and obviously mix, socialise, meet new people, which I did, so it's not all bad, but it's now just become, yeah, tiresome. And the bit that is a moan, you could say, is the fact of people are so eager to impress. Like, oh, it's just so long. Like, literally, as soon as you walk in somewhere, you just sit down and people just straight away, they're just on you. And don't get it twisted, it's not like I'm against people trying to make friends or have a conversation with me or anyone else, but it's just like, it's just too much sometimes. Like, it's just way too much. And I've just, yeah, I've had enough of it, basically. It's just one of them ones. And too much fakeness. Like, so much fakeness. They just, I don't know what it is. But they just so fake and just pretend to be someone they're not and just say things that they don't necessarily agree with, but because you're all sitting at the same table, like, you all just gotta fucking change who you are. It's just like, oh, long. And then obviously even just chilling on a bench somewhere, doing your own thing, away from the venues. It's calm, but yeah, it's not something I can do forever. Just sit on benches. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I like a bench. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like a bench, but I can't just, yeah. And then you got the people that just sit outside fucking Sainsbury's, like, literally ham and egging. Like, literally, I'm not fucking against, like, literally people that fucking hustle outside the shop, but sometimes it's just a bit annoying and just, yeah. And that life, I just can't. I just can't. I mean, it's always nice to walk a mile in another man's shoes and all that, but sometimes, yeah, you walk that mile and you're like, all right, mate, I will not be walking any further. Yeah, it's kind of good though, because even though I don't like going to venues, I ended up going to a venue when I was in Bristol, and I was sitting down, chilling, smoking my weed, just doing my thing, like, and I was with this guy who was friends. Well, he's housemates with my mate, And I had met him like previously, randomly, like funny enough actually. And it turned out he was living with my mate. Like literally, it was just weird. But yeah, anyway, the point is, I was sitting down. I went out with him. He said he's gonna meet his mate, but then some of them end up going to another rave or something. And I just again like the rave scene. Like, okay, it's cool. Like I've been to like two or three like proper raves, but otherwise, it's not. It's not like nah, nah. It's not for me. Like it's not for me. So anyway, I sit down. Well, I say I sit down, walk in, and like go to a table, sit down at a table, and just it was calm. But the point is, like, there was these girls that was chilling, and just like I always do this. I don't ever try and like approach girls. Like it's just long and it's just effort. And even with guys as well. Like if I'm going with someone, and fine. In fact, that's the only time I really would go to a venue. I mean, yeah. So the point is, I was sitting there, and I was just quite quiet, really, just smoking, just chilling, enjoying the vibe, I guess, the best I could. And the guy that I was with, he's like, I don't know, he's just like a hyperactive guy, and he just always says the wrong thing. So anyway, straight away he got these girls offended, and they was just like. But anyway, they ended up chilling the whole night together and just chatting and having conversation. It was weird, but again, like fakeness. Like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? It's just dead. But I like to observe these things because I get gems, like enrichment experiences, I call them. But it's a case of like there was another guy, yeah, so opposite me, and he was also quiet, and we briefly exchanged conversation because he asked me for a lighter, and turns out he was a climber, an industrial climber, because he was like, I was like, oh, have you are you alright? You had a good day? He was like, oh yeah, it's been a long week, and anyway, turns out he's an industrial climber for the railways, right? And he climbs up like mad, like buildings and trees and like yeah, it just does mad shit for the railway, like climbing like rocks and cliff faces to see if like they're gonna like landslide and shit and doing surveying and fucking yeah, it's a physical job. So like we was just chatting because obviously he'd travelled as well and had like some mad experiences, and he was older than me as well. So Justin, his name was, man like Justin, but yeah. So I was chatting to him briefly, and then we just sort of stopped talking, and then there was another guy who my friend was originally being introduced to, and he was like a comedian, like by trade, but but yeah, he was just like quite quiet as well, just straight laced, like just was out for chilling, didn't want no drama, couldn't be dealing with it, but made light of it because he was a comedian, and yeah, so that was that. But the point is, like, as the night progressed, like, and obviously chatting with Justin as well. I was like, all right, okay, calm. Like, do you know what I mean? I always like to have a like nice little chat, and like you meet people that are just like do different things or like had similar experiences to you, but you've gone different paths about it. Um, and yeah, and then it was a case of like the girls that was there, they was really intrigued, like literally, they was really intrigued because this is just me just walking in and sitting down, like this whole just situation, like, but they was really intrigued by like what I was saying to the other guy, why the other guy was listening, and he was older than me, like, but they didn't really hear what I was saying because, like I said, my friend was just chatting bare waffle to them and pissing them off, so they just, but they was like, oh, your friend's alright, blah blah blah, not in that way, but just like, well, I don't know. Anyway, fucking, but you never can tell fucking with these modern day girls. Anyway, they ended up coming back over, and then we moved inside, and then we was just chatting as a group again. After we'd smoothed things over, well, he hadn't smoothed things over. He was still being an odd, but he's a good person. So it's like he just puts his foot in it. It's not like he's actually trying to be a horrible person. So like anyway, he was we was all just chatting, and there was just, and then I was chatting to this one girl, yeah, and they was just asking me questions. Now this is where we get to the crux of the matter, right? Because like it's a case of like, oh man, at first, yeah, she was just asking me really weird, random questions like, why do you have a rucksack? Like, what's wrong? Like, where do you live? Where are you from? Just basic fucking, you know what I mean? Those fucking G-check local area questions, mate. Fucking just gleaming bits of information that just don't really mean anything, but then obviously they're information that it's questions and information she's trying to get to answer a bigger question in her head. And this is what I mean about people trying to just be weird. Like, why do you not just ask me a question straight up? Why do you have to try and just like do all these little snippets of like, anyway, fucking, the point is, this happened, yeah. And then I said something about being in England and how I didn't like it. And she was like, well, why are you here if you just like complaining and saying it's shit? And she was like, everyone thinks it's shit, blah, 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 blah. And then I was just like, all right, okay. And that was that, like, and that was the only thing like we really talked about, like. And then after a while, like, she just started chatting because we were sat next to each other, so we just wasn't talking. And I was just smoking. So then we was just sat next to each other, and then like she was chatting to her friend, and then like looking at me, chatting to her friend, looking at me, and then she came back and she was like, "So, if you could be anywhere, where would you want to be?" And then but the way she's asking these questions is like proper sarky. Like she's trying to start, but she's not realizing why. She's just, and this is what happens with me. Like people get inquisitive. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I do have stories, and I guess like they can see that. But if you don't know me and I haven't said all of this stuff, you can see that, but you don't know this is what I'm gonna say. Like, I don't know. Anyway, the point is, she asked me, "Where's the best? Where's the place that I want to be?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And then she was like, "No, no, no, no bullshit, no bullshit." And I was like, "No, but I'm just trying to." Do you know what I mean? I was just like proper deadpan and just straight laced when I was speaking to her, because like, do you know what I mean? I'm in a venue, like everyone's just like sloshing about, like just chatting nonsense to one another, and I'm just sat there, like, do you know what I mean? Just like, why am I here? Like, just anyway. So like, yeah, we're having this conversation, and then like, she's just like, oh, I was just like, anyway. Long story short, I was like to her, I'm not sure, like, because obviously I'll have to stay here or be here, and then she was like, but why? And I was like, well, from a logical point of view, like my citizenship is here. I was born in here, born here. I was born in London, the capital. So it's like I can't get away from being from England. Like if I go anywhere in the world, like no matter what happens at the end of it, like I'll just be brought back here. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like I don't know, like that's not always the case. You can get stuck places in terms of like, do you know what I mean? Extradition. But I mean, if I'm not talking that mad shit, then yeah, I don't. Do you know what I mean? I had my chance to get citizenship abroad when I was traveling. I fucked it up because I just fucking, do you know what I mean? Went on a mad one and just like, I want to find myself and all of this. But yeah, so that's what I said to her. And then she's just a bit tripped out by it because she was like, oh, what? Like, she was tripped out about it because she was like, oh wow, like fair point, fair point. And then like that's when it started to get like she changed her attitude from being really sarcastic and like, do you know what I mean, to like really intrigued. And by the end of it, like she was just firing questions one after the other after the other. It's just like, and then it comes to the point of this is what always happens, like always happens, where people are just like really interested and intrigued because like I said to her about, I said to her, because yeah, when I answered the question, because there was a pause after all of this for about, I don't know, a minute or 2 minutes. Because like I said, I was just there, like just bored as fuck, just like not interested in no foolishness, because I wasn't sure where she was going with the line of questioning. And then, yeah, eventually, like, I was like, okay, to answer the question, if I could be anywhere, it would be either Portugal or the Netherlands, and that's to live. Like not just to go. Like if I was to live somewhere or have to stay somewhere or be stuck somewhere, then it would be those two places. And then obviously I listed the reasons in terms of the infrastructure and things like that. I mean, Portugal jobs are kind of seasonal in terms of that, but yeah, that's not what I'm getting into. Like that's just a broad statement just for this story, just so don't fucking hold me on that. But yeah, so I said those two countries, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, that's very true. Like I agree with that." Blah 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 blah. And then yeah, she was just like, "Yeah, firing off questions, and then you just get to chat to people and like, do you know what I mean?" But it's just interesting because like that always happens where people just misconceive me or misjudge me. But then if they actually sit down and speak, but then at the same time, that's because initially, I'm not just chatting, spouting off a load of nonsense. Do you know what I mean? And I don't care about them. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not there to fucking get girls. Like, do you know what I mean? I just don't care. But that's another thing. Aside from that, I'll finish this story. But yeah, the point is, like, that happened to me. So that's the benefit I got out of it because I met Justin and obviously I was chatting to that girl. And then yeah, it was just interesting because like people are really, I don't know, it's just like I don't know, like sometimes like people are just really surprised, like they're really surprised, like they're just taken back, like genuinely taken back. And like you, like in my head, like it's just like you feel that you wouldn't be able to get through to some people. But like if you term it a certain way and you speak to them a certain way and you explain from both sides, and especially as I've actually been through a lot of stuff myself. Not everything, but in terms of my experiences, the things that I've talked about, I've managed to see and unfortunately go through because it's not always positive. But yeah, so it's just one of them ones. But yeah. But my mate, when he was coming back, he was just like, "Oh, it was a shit night. It was so dead, blah blah blah." But it's just like, pff, for me, it's just like I knew what I was going into. Like, whereas some people they go to a venue and they expect it to be so gassed and blah 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 just because they're in a venue. But it's just like there are times where you just go and it's just like it's not always going to be lively, and even if it is, there can be millions, not millions, but it could be packed and everyone's buzzing around. But if you just chill, like that's what I do. I just chill and I just see what's going on because you just remember where you are rather than getting caught up in that illusion of just like, do you know what I mean? You got to remember it's all just it's a basically a stage set just for you to feel good and have fun with lights and but people forget that and they just do you know what I mean? They get absorbed rather than just being like taking in everything and being in the moment. But then at the same time, it's like I do. This is the point where I say I've had enough and I get fed up because it's just like ugh. Basically, like I don't know, like I don't know. There's just and for me, the people. It's not the people that are just generally interested and they just want to learn and new things and just hear different stories from other people which they haven't experienced. But it's just sometimes you meet like if you go to somewhere like a posh place, right? Or somewhere that I had considered posh, where like university students go, but like not the fucking freshers, like the actual top tier, and they're just very like they're all right, yeah, and they'll come into like places, yeah, and they'll be really friendly with you, and they're not horrible people, but at the same time, like they're just super wealthy, like their parents are minted, they're minted, not always, but these are the people that I'm talking about, which I've met and I do meet, and it's just a case of like they'll be studying like loads of different topics within university and degrees and masters and PhDs and all of this, yeah, which is great. Like that's great. I'm not knocking that. Like that is absolutely amazing, and it's good that I can actually meet people like that and mix in those circles because obviously their intelligence will rub off on me as well. But at the same time, in terms of like their sensibility, but at the same time, it's like they're like mind blown when I speak about certain things, especially if we get political or if we talk about economy or things of that nature because they study it so they can actually understand and then put obviously the statistics, put the numbers and actually do the math behind what I'm actually saying so they can actually grasp the actual magnitude of the experience that I've seen and had. Like so that's like the weird the weird aspect because when you meet like the intellect it's like oh mate it's another level but mind blown but like if you meet them older it's fine like older like maybe like 40s 50s 60s like just do you know what I mean actual wisdom then it's fine you can get a lot from it and people can appreciate it like it's not necessarily they're impressed but they can actually guide you and mentor you but if you get the young ones like I say if you're at venues but like posher areas then yeah mate they just they just like they study what I've experienced so like it's just that contrast of just but then they would never think to do what I've done but even though they're studying it it's just yeah it's mind blowing it's weird it's really weird but anyway the point is meeting new people and just being out and just socializing I don't know it's just really weird it's just really weird but it's been a good interesting learning experience. But yeah, it's been a bit of a ride. It's been a bit of a ride. Anyway, I am going to continue with a video. And yeah, but I just wanted to give you this little live and give you a chance to tune in. There hasn't been many lives, but I'll try and go live more often and frequently, and then that way you can get used to me being live and just tune in. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, that is all, literally. Um, no, it won't be. No, it won't be tonight. No. I don't want to give false hope. It won't be long though. It won't be long though. And I will go live again. No, shit, I will go live again. Mate. Oh, shit. I could just continue my life, to be fair. But I've made a video, yeah. I'll tell you what's up. I've made a video. Well, it's a series, yeah. And it's like episodes. But it's a bit shit. So, yeah. And I've also just been procrastinating. But also, sorry, another thing that I'd just like to add, sorry, is basically I appreciate your positive feedback on the videos and that. But it has been a bit of a wait for you to watch videos, is what I'm trying to say. But I do appreciate your positive feedback. It's basically it. Alright, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get on with it. Right, yeah. Stay blessed, stay lean, and peace. And Jake, I'll snap you.